Okay, so 8.2, use properties of parallelograms. Now, if you're sitting in the back right now on your cell phone, I highly recommend you take notes. I think it's key that even though I'm gone, doesn't mean you get the day off, that you guys actually get notes that are beneficial to you. I'm not going to be reteaching 8.1 or 8.2. So if you don't take advantage of it now, I apologize. But you are welcome to come in and ask questions, but you need to make sure you're taking notes. So the essential question is, how do you find angle and side measures in a polygon? If you need to pause the video at any time, just ask the sub politely to pause the video. I know I already have this diagram done, so things you need to know about a parallelogram. It has two pairs of parallel lines, so parallelogram. Everything you need to know about it. Two sets of parallel lines. What does this mean? Good. So it's got two sets of parallel lines. The angles across from one another so the angles diagonal from one another are congruent. So if this is 30 degrees, what's that? Good. You also need to know that these two are also congruent to one another. So notice these two are obtuse angles, these two are acute angles, but the acute ones are congruent and the obtuse ones are congruent. You also need to know that angles on the same line are supplementary. What's supplementary? Ooh, I heard it. It adds up to 180. Good. So adds up to 180 degrees. So for example, the measure of angle Q plus the measure of angle R equals what? So they're on the same line. One's obtuse, one's acute, so they add up to 180 degrees. What about the measure of angle S plus the measure of angle R? They're also on the same line, so they add up to 180. What about P and S? Absolutely. P and Q? Absolutely. They both add up to 180. So that's what you need to know about a parallelogram. Another thing you need to know, I'll draw another one here, is that these two sides are congruent and these two sides are congruent. So if you want to add to your list, this one I guess goes under here. Opposite sides are congruent. So opposite sides are congruent. That's something key as well. So based on all this information, we're going to start using it to solve parallelograms. So example number 1. Using properties of parallelograms. So using properties of parallelograms. So let's draw a picture here. Do the best you can, make sure the sides are parallel. If you're an artist like me, I'm not, it will turn out like that. But you just need to pretend. Okay, things we know. These are parallel. These are parallel. This side is x plus 4. This side is y degrees. Sorry, that angle, not side. 65 degrees here for this angle right here. This is an angle, right? And this is 12, this side length. So, based on what we know up here, let's start with the sides. What do you know about this side and this side from your list? I heard it. They're parallel. Good. What else? The sides are congruent. So, what does congruent mean? They're equal. They are the same. So how do I set this up to solve for x? I should have made a note here of what you're doing. Find the value of the missing variables. So find the value of the missing variables. So starting with these two sides, I know that side AB is equal to side BC, right? This side is equal to this side. What is side AB? X plus 4, excellent, is equal to 12. How do I solve for x? Good. Subtract 4 to both sides. And I get x equals 8. So that's the first thing. Part 2, the angles. What do I know about these two angles? I heard it. Angles diagonal from one another are congruent. They're equal. So I know that y degrees is equal to 65 degrees. So y is equal to 65. Now, question for you. If I asked you to find the measure of angle B, what do you know about these two angles again? What do they add up to be? 180. Good. So if I was to challenge you, I want you to pause the video. Try this challenge. These add up to 180. Try finding the measure of angle B on your own. Okay, now that you're back, this is what you should have done. 180 degrees minus 65 degrees. Excuse me. And I should get 115 degrees. So what that means is this angle right here is 115 degrees. And to check your work, you could add it with this one and make sure that they add to 180 as well. Excuse me. Okay, let's try another one. What's letter A, letter B? So this is parallelogram GH, F, and E. And I'm given that this side is 8, and this angle is 60 degrees. I know that they're parallel. This is all given to me. And this is what I want you to find. Find FG and the measure of angle H. So, what do you know about HE and FG? They're congruent. Excellent. So what does FG equal? Good. Both sides are 8. Question. Can I find this side? No, you can't, because there's nothing given to you that says that those two sides are related to the other side. What about the measure of angle H? If this is 60, what do you know about that angle? Good. Notice it's an acute angle, so these two are congruent. So the measure of angle H should be 60 degrees. Okay, let's try another challenge. I want you to find the measure of angle G. Remember, two angles on the same line are supplementary. Use that to help you. This is what you should have had. So the measure of angle G plus the measure of angle H equals 180. So you know the measure of angle G plus 60 equals 180. 180 minus 60 is what? 120 degrees. So that's what the measure of angle G equals. So that is 120 degrees. You guys are doing well. Or at least I hope so. This chapter should be kind of easy for you. Or I'm sorry, this section. Okay. Let's try another one. This is kind of a recall. Oh, no, I'm going to go back. I'm going to do my recall in a second. I'm going to do letter C first. Sorry. You're all probably complaining. Oh, I just wrote it. I want you to find the values Find the values of x and y. Okay, so this is the given information. This side is 18. This side length is y plus 3. This angle is 2x degrees, and this angle is 50 degrees. And we need to find the values of x and y. So first of all, let's start with x. What do you know about opposite angles in a parallelogram? They're congruent. Excellent. So we're going to set them equal. How do I get x by itself? Good. You divide by 2 on both sides, and x is equal to 25. What about these two side lengths? They're also congruent. So I have 18 is equal to y plus 3. Subtract 3. 15 is equal to y. Pretty easy, huh? Or at least I hope so. Okay, now I'm going back to the recall. No, it's not a recall on a car. Do you remember in chapter 2 when we did parallel lines? What do you know about these two angles right here? What kind of angles are they? I remember in one of the classes they called it the gangsta C. Remember that they were consecutive? I heard it good. Consecutive interior angles. And what do we know about these angles? Remember, if you colored them, the same colored ones were congruent and opposite colors were 180. So in this case, they added up to 180 degrees. That's kind of like these, how I said that these add up to 180. That's actually where it comes from, because if I drew this, I now have a parallelogram. So, with that being said, there's a theorem. I'm just going to write theorem, the abbreviated version. So what you need to know is that, let's see, x degrees, y degrees, x degrees, y degrees. Notice the y's are across from each other, the x's are across from each other, they're congruent. But you need to know that x degrees plus y degrees is supplementary, they add up to 180. And you can prove it by using chapter 2 knowledge. So I've actually been challenging you to do this all along, but let's amp it up a little bit. Letter D. This will be the last of your examples. Find the indicated measures in, what's that? Parallelogram, JKLM. They're called the diagonals, right? We learned that in the last one. This is not angle N. That means this point right here where they intersect is N. This is M. This is 30 degrees right here. And this whole thing is 110 degrees. 110 if you can't read that. Okay, letter N. It says find the length of NM. Now what you need to know about the diagonals of a parallelogram is that they're congruent. I guess we should have written it up there. So here's another theorem. I apologize, I keep jumping back and forth. I forgot this in your notes. I'm really sorry. When you have the diagonals of a parallelogram, what you need to know is that these two pieces are congruent to each other and that these two pieces are congruent to each other. So the diagonals are bisected. What's bisected? Good. Cut in half evenly. So for example, if this is 5, what's that? 5. Good. So the whole thing is 10. If that's 7, and that's 7. The whole thing is 14. So we're going to use that to solve this here. So it says find the indicated measures, and first we have to find NM. So this side length right here. What do we know about NM and KN? They're equal. Good. So what does NM equal? I heard it. Good. It's 2. Letter B. I would like you to find KM. So how do I find KM? That's this side length right here. I'm sorry, not side length, diagonal. So the whole thing. If that's 2 and that's 2, what's the whole thing? Good. 4. Letter C. Find the measure of angle JML. Now, JML is this whole angle right here. I tried to darken it in. Now, what I gave you originally that I just covered up is that this little angle right here is 30 degrees. But that doesn't mean that that's 30 degrees. You know that this whole angle over here is 110. So if this whole thing is 110, what should this little guy be? And how do I figure it out? I heard it. They're supplementary. So I should have 180 minus 110. What does that equal? 70 degrees. So this is 110, and this whole thing right here should be 70 degrees. So that's angle JML. Letter D, I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to ask you to find the measure of KML. So KML is KML. So it's this little piece right in here. Now if this is 30, the whole thing is 70, how would I find the blue piece? I heard the answer. It should be 70 minus 40. That's the whole angle we just found here, minus the little piece given. So it should be 30 degrees. Okay, this is what I would like you to do. You have 2 things. Your classwork. This will be due to the sub at the end of the day. It's page 518, number 3 through 6, number 9, and number 13. Your homework is going to be the same page, 518, 519, number 7 through 8, 10 through 11, 14 through 15, and 23 through 28. Now, if you have extra time after the classwork, I ended up posting your 8.1 notes online. So I put it in the sub-plans, but if you want to start watching them in class, you're more than welcome to. Thanks again for watching, you guys, and I appreciate you being patient with me while I'm gone. Talk to you later.